All right, I'm going to record this conversation so that I can share this with those that aren't able to make the call or make the conversation. And I'm grateful for this opportunity. I'm going to see some familiar faces. I'm going to see some new faces. I'll hear some new voices, hopefully. And happy and healthy 2024, everybody. We've made it through to another year of abundance and prosperity. So my intention for this conversation, this call, and by the way, this call is a little earlier than we normally do. We usually have our group calls on Mondays, but I did reach out to, a handful of folks, and I said, they reach out to me and they say, Steve, I really enjoy your content. I like what you post. It really hits me, in the warm belly. I can resonate with it. And I said, well, just come listen in on what we talk about and sort of like a reintroduction into how we can quite literally alter the quality of our life. And I always say the tagline is from the inside out, because most people work a very broken model and they're working from the outside in. They're waiting for the external conditions, the situation to be right. They're waiting till they have the time, they have the money, they have the resources, they have the companionship, and then they'll start doing something. This time of year, the doing happens almost as a default because of the New Year resolutions that come through. I'm not a resolutionist, if you know me, I do not necessarily believe or buy into the resolutions because it's just another opportunity or day. I think everybody sort of gets on this bandwagon and they're like, all right, well, let's rally the troops and I'm going to wait till the new year. Really no different than, have you ever told yourself, well, I'll wait till Monday and I'll start doing X, Y, or Z? So my objective today, I don't have an itinerary. I don't have an agenda. I'm literally going to have a conversation. As Gail, you say, it's inspiration on demand. And I want to talk about the things that matter to people who care. And sort of, if you want to call this a refresh or a restart, and say, all right, we have promise keepers that will be on this call. They're going to watch this call. They're going to experience the replay. And by the way, welcome to the replay when you watch this, that already have tremendous momentum heading into 2024. That's what we spent our time doing October, November, December. We didn't say, hey, we're preparing, we're getting ready, we're sharpening the blades. We just said we're running into the new year with the momentum that's required to just live the quality of life through a particular lifestyle. But I don't want to get into that too much because I want to be able to meet people where they're at by just joining us here in this conversation. So typically in our first call for a TM90, full immersion. Now this is the full immersion. This means that you're diving deep. We are going to be discussing topics that are going to allow you to peel back layers of who you are, who you choose to be, who you think you want to be, the obstacles, the challenges, the adversities, the setbacks, the habits, the beliefs, the stories that you keep telling yourself. We're not going to discuss that today. This is going to be more of an overview, like a 10,000-foot view from above. I usually like to ask if you have any questions, jump in, but I don't know if we're going to have that much time to do that because I think I'll have a lot to say just in starting to get covered with what it's going to take for real transformation. Now, I guess I probably should introduce myself as well. My name is Coach Steve Trzek, and I have been coaching, training, guiding, helping people, other humans live a better quality of life through their health, their mind, through their spirit, through their, whatever they desire to have, probably for the better half of 2.5 decades. So I am grateful that I've been able to impact so many people's lives, not because I forced them to make a change, but because I was able to instill the methodologies and principles that they were able to sustain so they can make real change in their life. So really, actually, Gail, if we think about it, and Deborah, you've been like from the transformational standpoint, being in the transformational vein, meaning more of the neurological aspect of it, we'll call it the reprogramming of the neural pathways that we have, the habit shifting, the mindset shifting, or I call habit shifting. We started that back in 2020, and we've been able to gracefully navigate our way through much of what the pandemic was handing us and what we're able to do with other challenges along the way. But when it's all said and done, we've made a decision to live our life on purpose. And whatever that purpose is, it's up to you. So I'm going to be discussing a lot of different topics. I feel if there's something that you really want me to address or you want to add on to, Gail or Deborah, please, by all means, when you find the time is right, let's go into that when we can. But as I'm thinking here, as I'm like kind of preparing for this call, there's not much to prepare because we just sort of jump in where we're at. I start thinking about what's been different for me in 2023. And what was a new addition for me was working with some adolescent youth. I had the fortunate privilege of being connected to our local high school here and engaging with teenagers. Now, that's a different animal. If you've been around teenagers, or you have grandkids, or you have kids that are in that teenage years, their brains are wired a little differently. So my approach becomes a little different. I've actually learned more about myself being around the youth than I feel like I've made an impact, but they may disagree with that. But as long as I can be intentional with being of an influence, I can make an impact and inspire people. That is my purpose. It's one of my purposes of being on this planet. It's like my dharma. And you'll hear me say that time and time again. But one of the lessons that I'm able to teach the youth, and I'll share this here, is some life lessons. Like, you can't come to a call like this and not take away some lessons. So I'm going to encourage you to write down some notes. We'll be here for about an hour. Okay, so give yourself that time. I'll do my best to honor that time. I know it's Friday evening. I made it at 5 o'clock just so that I could hopefully have some people that were working pop in whenever they're off work and share their energy, share their experience with us here. But I want to start with some life lessons that you can hopefully find yourself in, that I can share with you, that you can resonate with and say, okay, this makes a little bit of sense to me. So I want to share a few life lessons, 4 life lessons in particular. And when I was talking to high school kids, and I've said this many, many times now over the last probably 3 months, because I work with some of the challenged children, those that maybe aren't quite behaving in a way that is appropriate in the environment of the high school. And so I use the analogy of a pencil, okay, number 2 pencil. And so there's 4 life lessons that we can find in here. And then this will allow me to hopefully jump off into a different spot. But the lesson here is, I want you to take this pencil. And in order for this pencil to be a useful pencil, now I want you to think about this. What do we need to do to this pencil in order to make it a useful pencil?
Sharpen it.
Yeah, we need to sharpen it. So from time to time, over and over, there's a resharpening process that occurs in order to make this a useful pencil. Now, the next thought is, imagine if this pencil had feelings. It had emotions to it. That'd be awfully painful, wouldn't it? To experience that sharpening, that resharpening over and over, time and time again. But I couldn't imagine that. But that is the analogy to life. So think about how that is in life, where we do have challenges. We do have adversities. And those are the grinding of the sharpening of the pencil. So it's through these opportunities of the resharpening process. Now, in the moment, it may not seem like life is happening for you. It's happening to you. Why is this happening to me? You're playing the role of a victim. But when you're going through the resharpening of that pencil, it's building a particular character. And through that building of character, And perhaps it's the expansion of your identity, which we're going to talk about today, because that's so important in our first week, is just discussing what our self-image is, and that's identity. But that's what's going to allow you to grow. What's going to allow you to grow is that resharpening process over and over and over again. So the second lesson is going to be, we can make a ton of mistakes. We're going to make a ton of mistakes, but we can also correct many of those mistakes that we make in life. And when we learn from those mistakes, those aren't really going to be mistakes, are they? Just like this eraser. When you learn from your mistakes, they become a lesson. They're lessons that you can use to do better and to be better the next time around when you experience that particular situation. So coming into this call, into 2024, the new year, where have you learned some lessons based on the learning from your mistakes? I'll say even go back to last month. Look at just December. Where did you learn? And we're not going to have time to really sit down and digest that and go through some coaching, which we normally would do in our process here in the TM90, which is the 90-day transformation method. But I want you to consider that. I want you to ponder, what have you really learned from the mistakes that you have put in play? Now, mistakes actually happen when you take action, and perhaps it maybe in the wrong action, or maybe you procrastinated and you missed an opportunity, or you were overthinking, or you delayed, or you were in fear somewhere. So that's going to be the second lesson. The third lesson is, just like this pencil, everywhere that you're going to go, so to speak, you're leaving your mark. So if you're leaving your mark, what kind of mark are you leaving? So I'm suggesting that you're writing, quite literally, your own story. You're writing your story wherever you go. You're making your own impact. You're making your own influences around the people or in your environment or in your community. I want you to be as creative as you can. I want you to be as impactful as you can. I want you to write as much as you can for as long as you can. That's the resemblance of that third lesson of this pencil. What kind of impact, what mark are you leaving on your friends, on your influences, on your coworkers, on your family? And I want you to be mindful also. Let me say this to kind of sum up my thought. I want you to be mindful. It's not what you're writing, it's how you're choosing to write it. It's almost like cliche. It's like, it's not what you said, it's how you said it. Well, kind of, but are you encouraging? Are you embracing other people? Are you giving your hand to lift them up? What kind of mark are you leaving? And then the fourth lesson, which is probably one of the most important lessons, is that what's most important is what's on the inside. It's the value, it's the quality of the graphite in this pencil that's going to make the most influential impact. You could have this pencil be aesthetically pleasing. You could have flowers and bells and whistles, and it's colored, it's multicolored. But if the graphite's brittle, it's bitter, it's broken, it's not very effective. So these are things that I enjoy sharing. And of course, we get into like deeper conversations with some of the I'll call them the children, just because sometimes they're just acting like children. And it really sparks up some great conversations with them. But I want you to take away just a couple quick lessons about this pencil. Now, how does this pencil relate or correlate to transformation, everything I just shared with you was a reflection of the inside. It's the inside and how we choose to be that matters. Here's a great way of putting it. It's the 5th of January, 2024. I've been in the health club industry. I started back in 1996, I was in the health club industry. If anybody's ever heard of the health club, Bally Total Fitness, I'm sure there's probably some heads nodding on the other side of the screen. I was there for 17 years, managing, training, influencing, and I loved it. I desired to help people back then when I first started. It just was the place I enjoyed being. But through that process, I saw the ebbs and flows of the business. I saw that in January. As you know, you go to the gym right now, how many new members have joined the gym over the last 5 days or maybe even the last week of 2023? There are an abundance of new members that are just getting into the gym to go do something. They know that they want a different external outcome. They want something better for themselves. They want to feel differently. They want a better body. They're tired of being sluggish. And they know that, well, I know I need to go work out. I'm just not doing what I know. So they join the gym. But here's the thing. What's going to happen if you go into that same gym January 21st, January 31st, the beginning of February? What are you going to notice? The member usage rate is down. When you have all those motivated members, the inspired people that are watching their Instagram account and being uplifted by those that are doing the exercise, the activity, I've been known to inspire lots of people in my life based on how I choose to live my life. So I know that people are attracted to me in particular because I do the things that they know they should be doing, and it inspires them. And I'm grateful for that level of inspiration. But the reason why people don't stick around the gym, or they don't stick with the eating healthy, or they don't stick with the hydration, is because they're so focused on what they're doing, they've never asked themselves this question. The question is this, and if you're taking notes, write this down. Who have I chosen to be that's allowed me to be in this unhealthy condition? It's like when you look in the mirror. I know you've looked in the mirror probably at least once a day. I'm assuming that you all probably shower once a day, and you have a mirror in your bathroom. And when you get out of the shower and you're toweling off and you look at yourself in the mirror with little to nothing on, thoughts come to your mind. You might be thinking, well, gosh, how did this happen? Who is that? Oh, that is god awful to witness. Whatever thoughts are going through your mind. And first off, where you put your attention is what you're going to experience. Where you put your attention is what you're going to experience. Where you put your attention is what you're going to feel. And we could talk about that as well. I'll probably wrap around to that. I think that's going to be a great concept that we can discuss in this conversation, particularly because I want you to take away some of these gems here, some of these nuggets. Ask yourself when you look in the mirror, who have I been that's allowed me to be in this condition? Not like, what do I need to do? Like that's the first question you usually ask. Like, what do I need to do? I need to go do something. I need to go work out. I need to be more mindful of my eating. I need to exercise more. I need to get more rest, get more sleep. I need to do deep breathing. I need to meditate, whatever. None of that matters. None of that really truly matters, because this comes from a place of your doing. Write this down if you haven't. Your doing is only as effective as the being doing the doing. And so what we talk about here is we talk about who you're choosing to be. Who you're choosing to be. Let me get some water. So the reason why people drop out from the New Year resolutions is because they're not having their attention to character. They're not asking yourself, well, who do I need to be in order to sustain this doing behavior? And I'll open this up here. Gail, Deborah, what are some ways of being, some characteristics that we focus on that are going to allow people, when done consistently, are going to literally alter the course of their life through whatever they choose to do from a place of behavior? What are some characteristics?
Being responsible
Okay. Being
for
responsible. Deborah, what else?
Committing.
Yeah, you must be committed. There's going to be moments, particularly in January, when your motivation is the highest because you've just had a new year, where you're going to wake up and say, I'm going to go exercise in the morning. And guess what? It's going to be 0 degrees. I know it is here in Arizona. It's like 60 and it's freezing out there. But it's going to be less than ideal to get out of the warm sheets. Why? Because we've been there. This is what we do. And you have to make a decision. Am I going to work from commitment? Because you're committed to the vision of what it is that you think or you know that you want. Or am I going to work from circumstance? Are you working from commitment or circumstance? And if you're on this call or watching this replay, or you've been part of our time together in any capacity, at some point for a long duration of time, you worked from convenience. You worked from circumstance. You were more merely interested in making change in your life. Because when the adversities got too tough and challenging, you fell into a default pattern. And those are habits. And we'll talk about habits as well. And the left brain, the prefrontal cortex, and the right brain, which is the reptilian part of the brain, and how there's a brain battle going on. That is all part of the psychological transformation process. I want you to consider that as you are going on with your own journey, your own level of change, and whatever that is. And so as you're talking about these characteristics, we have a transformation equation that we operate by. And the transformation equation is super simple, and it's a pathway. And so people really relate to equations. Like they're like, all right, I can kind of find myself. If I'm out of context, if I'm out on the beaten path, I know the path to get back on. And so I'm just going to use the word success. As a matter of fact, success right there. Success means something different to everybody. We're not here to talk about, hey, what does success mean to you? I'm just saying, whatever it is that you want more of, we can equate to a level of success. But what most people do, and this is why it's, again, a broken model, we're working backwards on this. Most people say, well, I want that dream body. I want to release that 50 pounds I put on over the last 3 months over the holidays so I get back into my swimsuit, so I can enjoy the summer in 2024 with my kids and stop being this person that's going to hide themselves and be insecure and be ashamed of themselves. And they're going to go chase the success. They're going to go do all the things. First off, you need to realize that it's not about doing more. It's going to be about being more. It's doing less more frequently. Transformation equation, real simple. Take notes if you're not already. It's R times C squared plus T is greater than S. S is success. Let me say it again. R times C squared plus T is greater than S. R stands for responsibility. The reason why you are where you are, if it's a place you don't want to be, is because you have not chosen to be responsible. You are being irresponsible through the decisions and behaviors that you choose to take. So you have to be responsible. You have to own what it is that you have created, and you also have to be responsible for what it is that you want. Then you have the two C's, C squared. Gail, you said, or Deborah, you said one that is committed. You must be committed. There's no way around it. The second C I alluded to earlier, I'll say it again, is consistency. You must be consistent. We operate in this community through an accountability scoreboard. It's an ownership scoreboard where we all show up and say, this is the behavior, this is the movement that I'm going to do, that I'm taking ownership of, and I'm going to do it today. I'm going to do it tomorrow. I'm going to do it on Sunday. I'm going to do it on Monday. I'm going to do it every single day, because what you do every day matters more than what you do every so often when it comes to the small promise that you make to yourself. Consistency. Consistency is one of the top key ingredients to any recipe or any formula. Then plus T. So R times C squared plus T. T is just time. Give it time. Give it some patience. It's greater. So being responsible, being committed, being consistent, and giving it time is greater than your success. Well, Steve, I only know equations that equal something. Why doesn't it equal success? Because I just told you, you've been conditioned and programmed to, when you want something, you chase it. Success is not something that you chase down. Success is something that you attract by being the type of person that desires and deserves that success. So I know it's a different thought process. People will say that I'm a transformation coach. I've said that before. I said I've been a life coach. I've been a performance coach. But really, I'm a mind shifter. I want you to shift your mind. I want you to change your outlook. One thing that I suggest or highly encourage you is just come up with an open mind. When you change your outlook, you'll change your outcome. I assure you that. Part of that process. So R times C squared plus T is greater than S. And I've said that probably 5 or 6 times now. Why? Because it's repetition. Repetition is the mother of all learning, just like consistency. Anything you want to add to that, Gail, Deborah? Sharon Carmen's in the house. Let's go. How has that worked for you, Gail?
Well, here's how it's worked for me. I've had tremendous transformation in my life. And you and I had a conversation a day or so ago. And I look back over the last 4 years and where I was then versus where I am now. And where I was, you said, what was different for you in 2023? And so the first 3 years of my transformational growth it was just so many milestones. And then in 2023, I kind of shifted back a little bit. But here's what I realize about I am who I am today, but I'm a different person than I was 4 years ago because I've had all this knowledge and wisdom and self-work that I've poured into myself over the last 4 years that I can bring that out. It's like, the graphite might have been a little bit crusty or something, and I had to sharpen my pencil a little bit more, and just allow myself to like really take that responsibility. Got out of the shower today. I looked in the mirror and I just smiled at myself and said, "Hey, you looking? How you doing today? Good looking." Because there was a time when I wouldn't even have said that. I'd be like, avoid the stare. But so where I am today is not where I desire to be, because I have the power to change to make the rest of my life the best of my life. And with the tools and the mindset and the knowledge that I've gained, I have the equipment to do that, to be the person that I need to be in order to facilitate the changes that I'd like to see in my life in 2024.
Awesome. And it's exponential, the amount of growth and change that you've made over the last 3 years since you and I really were introduced through send out cards. Like I wouldn't, if it wasn't for send out cards, I wouldn't know the great Gail Zintek. But who you were then and who you are today, you've literally taken back control of your life. And when I say living life on purpose, that is a great example of just being intentional, allowing your thoughts to serve you more often than not, because we can't control that first thought. Like thoughts just show up, but thoughts are imagined, they're illusions. Think about that. Just step back for a second. Your thoughts are illusions. Your thoughts become your reality. So if your thoughts become your reality, why would you create a reality around a thought that is of anger or bitterness or frustration? And then when you alter your thoughts because you have the control, you aren't your thoughts, you're the thinker of your thoughts. And again, we get deep on that. There's a lot of opportunity to discuss like just thinking patterns. And for people that aren't intuitive to that, they may get lost in that translation. So yes, absolutely. It's the thinking process of that. I'm going to share a quick story. Happened to me today. It's actually a really big win for me because that's the way I interpreted this. I was driving home from the store. I was picking up a birthday card for my son because he was going to a birthday party this afternoon. And I picked up a couple other things. I was driving home and I must have hit and ran into somebody, not literally, but in proximity to somebody that was having like one of those really, really off moments. And they were like road raging behind me, tailgating me, riding me real close, and I would slow down because that started pushing me over the speed limit. I slowed down, and then they pulled around and they started to give me all these expletives, through the window. I could see their blah, 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 the finger and this, and I'm thinking, okay, all right. I can see that you're having a rough day because what do most people do? Most people are going to react and say, well, yeah, F me, F you. I'm coming to tailgate you. I'm going to slow down. But no, you know what I did? I just kept my calm. I just relaxed and I said, whatever this person's going through has nothing to do with me. Now, why do I say that? I say that because, and I share this because I experienced this a lot in my life because I control my thoughts. I control my feelings. I was in control. How many people can say in a situation like that, or some kind of an emergency, or an altercation, or a conflict somewhere, where they can say, hey, I'm in control here? A lot of people don't because they're in a reactive state. And so I just sat back after it was all said and done and they drove away. I think they took a left. I went straight. And I said, what a big win for me. Because I didn't allow that person to rob me of my energy. And that is what that's what this really is about the boundaries. And I respect your boundaries. Every one of you, you show up here, you have standards, you have boundaries. You may not even know what they are. But I'll tell you, you will learn them when you spend enough time with us, because we talk so much about standards and boundaries and personal philosophies. But I'm going to challenge you. We are going to challenge you when you're telling us that you have a desired outcome, because your standard is probably not in alignment to what it is that you think or know you want to have. So something just to think about, because I think it's a great jumping off place for the process of manifestation. And, you can throw around that word manifestation. It's a big buzzword right now, but it's something that I learned years back, and I teach it, and it works exceptionally well for those that feel like they're out of control or they feel like they're stuck. And it's simply this. I want you to think about, and again, I've done many lessons on this. Write down this acronym if you're taking notes. I want you to write them down in a column from the top. So P T F A R. P T F A R, just like Gail has there. Point far. I actually probably could flip it upside down, but I'm going to leave it like this because I want you to look at whatever the bottom is. We're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. Okay, why are we here? We are here because we desire a different result in life, whatever that means to you. So I want you to write next to that R, write down result. The acronym for R, the part of that acronym is that R, it's going to be result. Your result is going to be a byproduct of your actions. A stands for actions. Your behavior. Well, Steve, I know I'm not in alignment to my behavior because I'm not doing the right things I need to be doing to produce a particular outcome. At least we're on the same page right now. But those actions are derived from your feelings. So when we're in a state of happiness and enjoyment and bliss and excitement and gratitude and abundance, do we or do we not make better decisions for ourselves and take better, greater action to what it is we want as a result? We do. We don't take great action when we're angry and bitter and we're frustrated and we're depressed or anxious or stressed. We don't. You can, it's just much more challenging. Well then, okay, Steve, now what does that mean? So my feelings are created from what? Your feelings are created from your thoughts. Your thoughts, which is that second letter there, your thoughts produce your feelings. And if you want to alter your thoughts, because the quality of your thoughts will produce the quality of your life. Yes or no? Yes or yes? Yes or yes? Rhetorical question. And if you want to alter, this is not part of the acronym, but I'm just going to slide this in there. If you want to change the quality of your thoughts, then you must change the quality of the questions that you ask and answer yourself. But all of that is produced by your P, which is your programming. It's your subconscious programming. Your subconscious is that invisible force that is your driver. You are driven by your subconscious identity. And your identity, believe it or not, and for those that have spent enough time with me, will be in concurrence here, but your identity is your self-image. It's what you believe to be true about yourself. It's your identity. So we could sit here and talk about transformation and change and growth and expansion and evolving, becoming a greater, healthier, better version of yourself. All that's great, which is all going to be content. Everything we're talking about here is content. But the trap is this. You may be saying, Steve, that makes a ton of sense. I get it. I understand it. I can relate to it. I can resonate with that. I'm dropping gems like a clumsy jeweler. But if it's not in alignment to your context is going to be your identity, your belief, your stories, and your habits. If the content in which we're talking about, and I don't expect it to, by the way, by you being the first time here, it's just, this is an introduction to what's possible for you. If the content, the information, the lessons, the conversation isn't in alignment to your self-image, what you feel you're worth, the beliefs and stories that you abide by on a day-to-day basis, then the content won't stick. But that's okay. Some of it will stick. If you take away one thing from today's conversation, it is a victory. It is a level of growth. It is a place of expansion. You have greater awareness. Everything I'm going to share, and I do share, whether it's going to be in this group, whether it's going to be in the identity transformation experience, which is a new group that I created. If you're not part of that, I suggest you do that. It's the Identity Transformation Experience on Facebook. It's a free group. Go join that group. What I share is about elevating your awareness. And then you can do the inner work, of course, with my guidance and those that show up and they respond and communicate. Very safe environment, very safe community. We share things in this group that people certainly do not share, probably to some of their closest family. But that's okay. We work through it together. We grow through it together. So to recapitulate that acronym, just want to make sure you have it. PTFAR. Your programming, your subconscious identity, your beliefs, your stories, how you're programmed. We're not going to talk about how you become programmed, because you got programmed from probably the inception of birth. You were indoctrinated early on with a lot of these different philosophies that you live by. That's your programming. But that programming produces certain thoughts. But if thoughts are an illusion and we're the thinker of our thoughts, we can shift our thinking. And when we shift our thinking, we shift our emotions, we shift our feelings. And when we move our feelings, then our actions become different, because now we're in alignment to what it is we want as a result. See how that works? So there's many a times where in a simple conversation, we just find out where we are in that process of manifestation. Gosh, I'm really feeling off today, they'll say. Okay, well, what thoughts are you having that's producing those feelings? When I first asked that question, they're like, gosh, I had never even thought about that. You mean to tell me you've never thought about what you think about? But after time and repetition, because repetition is the mother of all learning, they're like, okay, I was thinking pessimistically about myself or about the situation or about what was happening. So change your thinking, change your life. Change the quality of the questions you ask yourself, change the quality of your life. A well-phrased question is a problem half solved. And one thing that I continue to get better and better at is I'll ask you greater quality questions to help uncover what it is that you're growing through. I'm not here to heal you. I'm not here to fix you because you're not broken. I'm here to provoke you to get out of your own way. I position you to free yourself from yourself. And that's important for me to convey, because I'm not here to heal you. Your mind, your body, your spirit, that's what's going to heal you. Any feedback on that? Any takeaways? You can type in the chat. You can speak out loud. You can use that beautiful voice you have. I know I talk kind of fast. I'll attempt to slow down a bit.
Awareness. Your questions, bar none, over the last 4 years that I've known you, have allowed me to find my own awareness in my own life that creates that change. Because you don't change me, I change me.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted to say the quality of your questions that you ask others is really a gift to those who receive those questions, even though they may be really hard to answer in the moment.
I can vouch for that because every time he go, Deborah, I go, oh, no, 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 I don't have the answer.
My
But it really
responsibility,
made me aware.
I feel as your coach, my responsibility is to challenge you and make you a bit uncomfortable. No growth happens in a level of a comfort zone. It doesn't. You have enough people in your life, I assure you, that will tell you it's okay. You're perfect the way you are. Hey, great job. You gave it a valiant effort, even though you didn't make it to the gym when you told yourself you're going to go to the gym. F that. No, the reason why you're in this position, why you're in this spot, the reason why you are out of shape, overweight, unhealthy, unconfident, unmotivated is because you lack personal integrity. That is the reason why. And people get pissed. They get angry with me when I say that, especially in a group of people. They get their pitchforks out and they start like rowing no, that is the reason why you are in the condition, in the position that you're in, is because you are not an integral person. You do everything else for everybody else. You take care of your neighbors, you take care of your family, you take care of your kids, you take care of your family. But why the hell are you not taking care of yourself? When you tell yourself, oh, well, you know what? It's this time, it's the time of year where I'm going to go to the gym. I don't care what time of year it is, but it could be June 15th. If you're frustrated and sick of being tired and sick of being tired of being a particular way, then make a real decision. Gail, how do you know you made a real decision?
Because you take immediate action on
Yeah,
that.
you just take immediate action. So right now, let's make this prevalent to this conversation. Right now, you know that you should be doing something. I'm going to go back to behavior here, because really, ultimately, that's what produces the results. You know you should be doing something, fill in that blank, whatever something is, and you're still not doing it for whatever reason. I'm going to venture to say, and I had intentions of talking about this on this call, and I'm just looking at time here. We got, we'll say 15 minutes. I wanted to talk about vision for a second. I want to talk about the reasons why you are going to be doing or being a particular way that's going to create a different outcome for you. You can call it vision, you can call it a dream, you can call it whatever you want to call it. How often, here's the question, how often do you validate your vision or your dream through consistent action? How often do you validate that vision? Now, I'll tell you what, this may not be a great group for you to be in if you don't have a big vision, because you're going to get frustrated. But what I do is I will teach you how to create a vision. As a matter of fact, I have an entire training on how to let go of obstacles and beliefs and patterns so that you can create more expansion and room for a bigger vision. Your vision is essentially what moves you in your life. Your vision is a purpose. Now, you're going to hear people say, well, I don't know what my purpose is in life. Great. You don't need to know what your purpose is because you have multiple purposes. You have purposes. There's an S at the end of it. It's plural. If you think that you're only here on this planet in this consciousness to fulfill a purpose, singular, you're going to be rattling your brain a long time because you'll never think that that purpose that you think you have is going to be great enough. But if you have purposes, maybe there's a purpose for your family. Maybe there's a purpose for your internal being. Maybe there's a purpose in how you're going to choose to show up for the world and bring value. Purposes, plural. I encourage you to evaluate and find multiple purposes.
My purpose is to find my purpose.
There you go. Hey, but that's a start. And I would say my purpose is to establish one of my purposes. Because then it's not as daunting. But if you're trying to hone in on that one thing, you're gonna be challenged for some time. So find out what that one purpose is. And again, I want you, Sharon, you are a big family person. I know that. You love your family more than anything.
Right.
So I encourage you to do this. I want your vision. There's usually two components to creating a big vision. It's number one, it's the future that you want. Okay, so you take it personal and say, this is the future I want. I want this health. I want this vibrancy. I want this level of confidence. I want this business. It's the big purpose and future that you want. And the second one, which it's really gonna land on you, it's for other people.
My vision for other people.
Yeah, your vision can be created for other people. Meaning, I want you to link your love for other people in your life to your vision. Can you do that?
I gotta make sure I understand, but it's for something for my life though, but it's gonna be
Yes.
connected.
Yeah, because
It's not like Chelsea wants a new house, so I'm gonna get Chelsea a new house.
no, that's materialistic, but you have to create the vision of character that's going to allow you to position Chelsea for the new house. And you can use that as a vision, but that's
Okay.
an external environment. And it's the top of the pyramid. We're not going to talk about that. There's a logical levels. You remember that? Logical level. So at the top is the environment, and then you work like from behavior and skills, and we talk about beliefs and identity. The external environment could be the house. It's the home. It's the dream home that you want. That certainly could be the vision. But there's excuses and reasons and fear that's preventing you from taking the actions to allow you to get closer to that vision. I know you're using it as an example.
Yeah, I'm still confused then if it's how I relate someone else to my vision. I don't quite understand.
Well, you're inspired and you're motivated by bringing that value to other people. Like, never allow your love for your family to be less than the excuses and the reasons and the obstacles for you getting there. Just link your love to what it is that the vision is for yourself and for the people you love. Don't overthink it. Because
Could an example of that, Steve, be my vision for myself is to be physically active and healthy and energetic and vibrant, because my 12 grandchildren deserve, I want to give that vibrant grandma and the activities and the health. I want that for my family.
So
Yeah.
it's basically what you can do to benefit yourself, but it'll also enhance others around, whatever.
You know, a great example is, and this happens just recently, this happened in my own life too, and this happened with a couple other Promise Keepers just coincidentally, is they said, hey, I'm going to take a step back from the community because I have a sick or ailing parent. Well, logically, that might make sense, but as long as you can assure me you're not taking your foot off the pedal of your self-care. Because when you are a healthier version of yourself, you show up stronger, better, more efficient, more energized for the sick, ailing parent. So it's constantly an internal development, always, regardless of the conditions. Let me give you another quick analogy here. It's a metaphor. And can we agree that life is hard sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
Life is challenging. The world can be a very tumultuous place, right? Raise your hand if you agree. It's full of obstacles, adversities, and it's almost like you're in this pot of boiling hot water. You know where I'm going with this? You have a choice. You have a choice when you're sitting in this pot of boiling hot water. And by the way, that pot of boiling hot water is affecting everybody in your environment. It's the same condition for everybody. How is it that some people fare differently and are able to grow through that, or able to have a different mindset, or whatever it is? Because you're choosing one of three people to be. You're either being the carrot, the egg, or the coffee bean. Sharon, have you heard this analogy before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so Sharon, what happens, and hold on, I got something here. Actually, I have a couple things. Look what I found. Look at that.
A carrot.
Little carrot. It's a styrofoam carrot I found like in the Easter decorations. What happens when you put an egg into a pot of boiling hot water?
It becomes a hard-boiled egg.
Oh, a carrot. Did I say carrot?
You said egg.
Oh, I meant carrot.
It gets soft.
Yeah. So eventually over time, in a few short minutes, it's going to turn soft. So what happens is people choose to be the carrots when the conditions of their environment are harsh or challenging or tough or stressful, or there's opportunity to be anxious. So they turn soft. They hide. They run. They become soft and squishy like this carrot. You may know somebody like that. All right. Does this look familiar? Remember that? This is the egg of abundance. I think, Gail, you
Okay.
gave this to me, right? You gifted this. Who gifted this to me? Okay, so here's the egg. It's a gold egg, but it works. So
Okay.
if you put the egg into a pot of boiling hot water, as you alluded to, Sharon, it turns into a hard-boiled egg. So when the environment is harsh, rough, tough, boiling around you, you might get angry. You get frustrated. You become hardened by your environment. Do we know anybody that turns into an egg during those moments? If I were to interact with that road rager, I would have turned into an egg if I started behaving the same way that the other egg was behaving. Now, what I'm encouraging you, and you're going to hear me say often enough, is be the coffee bean. Because if I have this little, oh, it's even too small to hold sometimes. This little coffee bean here. See that? I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah.
If I were to take this coffee bean, I put it into a pot of boiling hot water, what would happen to the bean?
It would flavor the water or
Yeah,
just hurt.
so the bean, from an identity perspective, it wouldn't be affected. It still stays hard. It still, but what happens is it turns the environment into flavorful water. So whatever's happening in the environment, the harshness, the toughness, the stress of the environment, the coffee bean remains unaffected, and instead it affects the environment. It's very magical. I like to consider it transformational. So the more we can relate to being a coffee bean, the less we're impacted by the environment, but we also can influence and impact the environment. So there's also times, and I just look at people sometimes. I'll be people watching. I was just at the zoo not too long for New Year's Day with my family. It's a family tradition. I saw a lot of eggs, a lot of angry people. They were walking around because the line was too long, or the people were moving too slow, or they couldn't get in the way for looking at the sea lions and like, yeah, I want to look, I want to look. And then I saw some people kind of cower, tuck away, and they just were waiting their turn. They didn't want to be confrontational. There were some eggs, or excuse me, some carrots. But the people that were confident and just were there, poised, they just knew who they were. That's the coffee bean. Not allowing the external conditions and circumstances to impact who they're going to choose to be. And that's authenticity. Find the wins in your life by you being the bean. Be the bean. I think that was a great way to sort of tie that in. All right, so we're sitting at the top of the hour. Is there anything I didn't cover? I mean, I know I didn't cover there's a lot of things I didn't cover, but I think it was a great baseline. And first off, let me say this again, happy, healthy new year. It's a new year, new opportunities. You could say whatever you want with that. I don't buy into all the hype of it's new year, new you type of thing, because you can make that decision anytime you want. And honestly, people ask me, because I have the 90-day transformation method. We spend 12 weeks together. Okay, when you commit and say, I'm willing to do or be what it's going to be willing to be or take to make real change. And again, don't expect for everything to happen at once. Remember, your context is going to influence how much of the content you're going to be able to absorb and take in. And I don't know, based on the curriculum, based on the lessons, based on the videos, because everything's video content. I enjoy doing videos because I think that's the best way for me to perceive what it is I want to teach you, or the lessons I want to teach. I don't know based on my curriculum, and I don't know based on your level of commitment right now as to where you're going to be in the next 30 days or in the next 90 days. Gail, you've been through the TM90 every time, and you're still learning. Right?
Becoming takes a lifetime.
Becoming does take a lifetime. Deborah, same for you. You've been through this a dozen times. And it doesn't mean that doesn't work. It just means that you weren't the same person last time that you are today. It's like reading the same book. You go onto your bookshelf and you read a book for the second or third time. And have you ever told yourself, oh man, like, where was this chapter the first time I read this book? Because I do not remember that chapter. Because you weren't ready to receive whatever that lesson was trying to teach you. So this is the initiation to the full immersion. The full immersion includes a whole lot of expansion, meaning we get together every week here. Typically it's Mondays, and bonuses we do Fridays for an hour, 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. There is a scoreboard that you're engaged in every single day. That's going to give us 2 power promises, 2 things that you promise yourself you're going to do every day. And every, what I call promise keeper, because that's what we are. We're no longer promise breakers, because we've done that long enough to create the conditions that we're in. We're promise keepers now. We keep those promises, very small promises that it's almost impossible not to do every single day. I want you to become like a postage stamp. Stick to one thing until you get there. You'll arrive. But you got to be consistent. You got to follow the transformation equation. There's workbooks. There's homework that we do every single week. There's very deep, intuitive questions that are going to allow you to expand and open up, peel back layers of those onions. And that's the full immersion. And then the other option is you can do a self-study. which has all the great content, has all the lessons, all the video modules. It has the workbooks, the homework. You just do it on your time. You won't have the live calls, the live coaching, but it's still very effective and it's more cost efficient as well. And then the other option, like I suggested before, was just get plugged into the Identity Transformation Experience, which is a Facebook group that I created just a couple months back. Just get like-minded people together. So I would encourage you, if you're not there, to do that as well. This is where I'll open it up for the next 5 minutes. And if there's any questions, if there's, you know what, better yet, instead of questions, because I know that could be sometimes nerve-wracking for people. Like, what are your takeaways? What did you learn today that you can take as a call to action in your own life? Like, what's something that you can really put into movement? Pun intended. Sharon, what did you get maybe a refresher with, or what really jumped at you since you were here for the last half of this call?
Prefer.
Point far.
Just basically that there could be potential work to do for your conditioning, your programming or whatever, that's still your basis.
Potentially, I'm still working on my programming.
You are? Come
Mhm.
on. Oh.
Listen, the way I see it is we're either growing or we're stepping back. There is no idling. There is no standing still. It's how much personal development, how much personal growth are you being intentional with on a daily basis or a weekly basis? A day doesn't go by, Sharon, where I'm not opening up a book or I'm not listening to an audio or a podcast that's going to be prevalent to expansion. Like, my intentions are to continue evolving and being a better version of myself. The better I can be, the better I can be for you.
Yeah.
You know, so we know that. And as soon as you accept that, you sort of become liberated. You're like, okay, I know I'm not perfect. I don't desire to be perfect. I want to be progressive. I'm very progressive.
Yeah.
So, Michelle, thanks for being here and for listening in. And we had somebody else on here that just dropped off as well, but I appreciate, I'm grateful for your time and attention, just for, just your presence. And I don't know how much of this is going to land with you or what really relates. Hello. But if you like to share, you're not obligated to. If you would like to share maybe a takeaway, something that you can apply into your life, and just sort of as a tip of the iceberg, I'm sure I know I'd be grateful to hear it.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me. I lost connection for a portion.
Technology.
I know I had to find another device to log back into. But what I really liked was the vision. Writing it down and actually seeing it helped to kind of validate where I'm going and where I'm moving, and holding myself accountable. And how often do I validate my vision?
Through action, right?
Right. Correct.
And maybe that's a great way to gauge a reasonable vision. Like, I don't believe that you can never think too big, because we always have big, audacious goals and intentions and dreams. Like, that's what drives us. That's what inspires us. That's what provokes us to want greater things. But if it can't be completed, or at least approached by tiny behaviors, sometimes we feel defeated and we're like, well, what's the point? Why is it worth it? So whatever those actions and behaviors are, make them congruent to the first tier of vision. Gail and I, we did a podcast like last year, or maybe it was even longer than that. And we showed up every single week and we had discussions about transformational topics. And it was called
Party at the Summit.
Party at the Summit. So we have these summits in our life, and it's like the next level. And we move our way and we become a particular type of person so that we can get to that first level, that first summit. And then once we get to that summit, we celebrate a bit. And we're like, all right, yeah, that was great. Here's what I learned. Here's what my takeaways from that experience. And then we go to the next summit. We get to that next level. And so whatever that vision is, consider that a summit. And then once you write that down, that vision, repeat that several times per day until it becomes literally ingrained in your subconscious mind, and your mind starts working towards that goal while you're thinking about it, while you put your attention to it, while you don't have your attention to it, while you're sleeping. And without repetition, it's really not even a goal. It's just something you wrote down and you tucked away somewhere. Goals without reasons, and I think that's the whole idea, is the reasons need to be strong enough. The reasons need to be stronger than the excuses. And that's why I mentioned the other people in there. That's a vision, other people. It's the reason why that vision is so important to you. Goals without reasons are dead. They're impotent. They don't even exist. Something that we talk about a lot. Your vision must be clear. It must be exciting. But I'm glad that was your takeaway, and there's a lot of room to evolve around that as well. But start with that first summit. What does that look like for you? And then only Michelle would know that.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Michelle, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. You can reach out to me on Facebook. It's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. This whole group is actually based through Facebook, meaning we have a Facebook group, and that's where we do all of our posts and we do our sharing and communication through there. So I'll be happy just to, even have a one-on-one conversation with you if need be, just to kind of share what is personal to you, maybe, if you're willing to share that. I'm okay with that.
Okay.
So, all right, well, that will conclude our call here. Sharon, same thing for you. I think we're due for a call and a conversation as well. I'd love to know what you're up to and see what you have cracking over there. But I want everybody to enjoy their weekend. It's we're gonna get a lot of snow over here. I'm in the Chicagoland area, so we have, I don't know, 3 or 4 inches coming this way. So maybe the kids want to go snowing or building snowmen or sledding or something. It'll be a lot of fun. But I do want to say this, that I do become obsessed with helping people, and I don't want that. My enthusiasm can be confused with that obsession, but I do get excited when people win in their life, especially when I can be in proximity to them, because the more you win, the more I feel I win. And who doesn't want to win more in their life and take back control of what it is that they want to have more of? And you do have the power to change. Like we say almost as a closing line here, you have the power to change to make the rest of your life the absolute best of your life. And it starts from the inside out, not the outside in. So if you're all ready to enjoy this weekend and I can serve you in any way this weekend, please let me know. But if you're ready to go for the weekend, say let's go. And I will see you all on Monday. If you're ready to go, say let's go. Let's go.